I, 25 male, live with my parents in a very expensive city. We stay in a 3-bedroom high-rise. My mom recently decided she wanted to move to this city because she was tired of living in the country. I agreed to move with them because this city had many software engineering jobs. I was able to get a high-paying job and make 6 figures. My mom and dad are school teachers, and their combined income is just under what I make. My brother James and his wife Mary had originally stayed in our old state, but once she found out she was pregnant, my mom and dad invited them to move in our house. I work from home sometimes and pay 75% if the bills and mortgage, so the spare bedroom was my office. My brother and his wife showed up at my house, which I didn't know about, and demanded my room. My room has a walk-in closet and bathroom. I told them to take the office because it has an air mattress for guests. My parents told me to let them have my room. I reminded them how I pay most of the bills and I'll move out if they have my room. My mom yelled at me and told me I was a jerk, but my dad just told them to go to the spare room. I went to the office the next day, but forgot my laptop, so during lunch I came home and found my sister-in-law taking my stuff out of my room. Everyone else had left for work. I yelled at her and asked what hell was she doing. She screamed back that my mom said to do this. I grabbed all her stuff that she moved, which wasn't a lot, and threw it on the floor and told her I will kick her and my brother out of her stuff is in my room when I get back from work. My brother and mom blew up my phone when I was at work. My dad started a group chat and said that there will be a family meeting when everyone gets home. I stopped at the store to grab knob with a lock for my door. My parents' sister-in-law and brother was sitting on the couch when I got home. My brother tried to get in my face, but I'm taller and bigger than he is, so I just put my hand on his face and shoved him out of my way. I knew this infuriated him because he's older than me. My dad told me that I should just let them have the room. My sister-in-law smiled at me. I told them that I pay most of the bills and they are living under my room because my name is on the mortgage, and if they want the bigger room, they could either pay me rent or the 4 of them can move out. My dad tried to bargain with me, but I told him that I'm not talking about this anymore, and if I'd hear about it again, I will have everyone evicted. My sister-in-law started crying, and I went to my room. My dad is treating me okay, but everyone else is giving me the silent treatment. I thought everything was okay, but the next night I came home from dinner. My mom made everyone but me a plate. She said until I give up my room and be a good son, she would not cook me dinner. My dad agreed with her. I pay for every grocery. I went into my room and printed eviction notices for my mom and dad. My brother and sister-in-law hadn't been there long enough to be considered squatters. I told my brother and sister-in-law they had an hour to pack and get out, or I'll call the police. I told my parents they have 30 days, or I'll take legal action. All our extended family stay in a different state, and they don't have the money to support 4 people in this city. My mom begged and tried giving me her plate, but I said it wasn't about the food. My parents put my brother and sister-in-law in a hotel room for the night, and my mom tried to apologize, but I ignored her and went to my room. I'm writing this right now to see what I should do because I'm honestly confused. Update. I went to work, and my parents had left out before me, which was unusual. But my mom had texted me throughout the day with apologies. I seen posts that said my mom might be narcissistic, but this is the first time she's acted like this. So I was honestly hurt when it happened. But when I came home from work, my brother, sister-in-law, and parents were sitting on the couch. My dad said they're sorry for the way they acted and thought, because I'm usually the voice of reason, that I was going to back down. My brother said the request seemed small, and because I have a perfect life, giving up one thing to accommodate him and his time of need is what family does. Side note, my brother has no debt. My father is a veteran, so we were able to get free education somehow. But because my brother changed his major 5 times, he had to pay for 3 years of extra coursework that wasn't covered. My parents took on that burden, and are still in debt because of it. They also didn't sell or rent out the old house because my brother convinced them that he would like so start a family there someday. So they have some debt because of it. But my brother is not in need of everything. My brother also told me that because it's our parents' condo, they should have a final say. I explained to him that it's my condo and my name is on the mortgage. So they actually get no say in what goes around here. He was confused. He said I possibly couldn't afford this place on my salary. He said a person making $50,000 a year could not live this lifestyle. I explained to him that I make 3 times that much and our parents can't afford to live here without me because of the mortgage back home and his student debt. James said that Dad took care of the student loans and that the old house was already paid off. I looked at my parents, wondering why they lied to him. I explained that they're in a ton of debt because of him and refused to sell the house because of what he said. James asked our parents why they didn't tell him all of this. My mom bursted out into tears, telling James they knew he was jealous of me since I was in high school. Mom knew that me playing varsity football my freshman year of high school when he rode the bench as a senior is what started his dislike. And me playing college level at a Big Ten school didn't help. We also graduated the same year. So James told Mom that it wasn't fair that got to do all those things. Mom and Dad began babying him in order to compensate for this so he wouldn't hate me and the family could continue to be around each other without animosity. James just walked out the door without speaking another word. My sister-in-law apologized and said she didn't know it was my house. I asked her why would that change anything. She ignored my question and went to the guest room. My dad tried to explain that they felt like they failed my brother. I asked was it just because of the football thing. He said it was because James wasn't given the same opportunities as me. I explained how James skipped school to drink and smoke and joined a gang. I asked, do you think we should have gotten the same opportunities? My dad said it was hard to explain. I told him what's easy to explain is the eviction notice and he has 30 days. So I left to my friend's house and that's where I'm at now. Update 2. My brother invited me out to have some drinks. I was hesitant to go at first, but I realized that it wouldn't hurt. When I seen him, he looked horrible, and I hated seeing him like that. The first thing he told me was sorry, and it seemed genuine. He then told me he was never jealous of me and was proud of all my accomplishments. He then dropped a huge bomb. During his senior year of high school, he had come home early and found Mom was home, and so was our uncle's car. At the front door, he heard moans and decided to peek through the window and seen our mom and uncle on the couch, cheating on both of their spouses. He took a video as evidence ready to show Dad, but he didn't want to break up our family. Instead of talking to anyone and getting help, he got into drugs to help him cope. But he explained that one day Mom yelled at him while he was drunk in the middle of the day, so he just showed her the video. He explained how her face got pale, and she broke down crying. She promised she had broken it off when our aunt had gotten pregnant a few months after the incident had occurred. She pleaded with him not to tell Dad. He said he wasn't, but that she better do everything to make it up to Dad. Mom started the jealous thing to hide her affair, even though she knew she was the reason for the drugs and alcohol. He hadn't realized that she's been overcompensating, afraid that he was going to tell Dad. After therapy and rehab, he had been concentrating on himself and failed to see how I was being treated. He also thought it was unfair that I didn't have to live with that heavy burden, and thought Mom always babied me. So when I wouldn't give up the room, he thought it was Mom playing favorites. He almost broke down crying, saying how sorry he was and that he'll leave. I told him that wasn't necessary, and that as long as him and sister-in-law help out, he's welcome to stay as long as wants. I asked was he ever going to tell Dad. He said he wasn't, but would hold no resentment towards me if I did tell. So now I'm conflicted with that. But other than that, everything seems normal. Update 3. I told my dad. He surprisingly took it well. I did it in private. He admitted that his brother told him that one time when he was drunk, but he thought he was trying to upset him. I know everybody was saying that my mom was a narcissist, but she never displayed these behaviors. She was a woman loved by everyone. He never suspected a thing. He was hurt, though. He explained that he's been married for 30 years and would like for things to stay the same. I always thought Dad was kind of a pushover, so I highly doubt that he's going to confront her. I think he's comfortable with life the way it is. But my brother and sister-in-law have paid me for bills and rent, so we're okay. My mom has apologized, and it seems genuine. She became the outgoing nice woman again, so my house has peace. I think this is going to be how it is from now on. I hope Dad is okay, though. Story 2. A ITA for telling my 21 female family that my partner 21 male forced me to do a paternity test. My partner and I have been together for over 4 years, and I recently gave birth to our daughter. We had kept the pregnancy to ourselves till our baby was born happy and healthy due to worries about complications as I faced a high-risk pregnancy. We told our families after she was born, while my family was ecstatic. His was questioning if we hid it for ulterior reasons. They've always heavily disliked me and believe I'm just with their son for money. Yesterday, we took her to meet her grandparents from his side, and after some polite conversation, they dropped the bomb that they would be doing a paternity test that he agreed to. To not make myself look suspicious, I agreed to it, but afterward made it clear to my partner that I felt incredibly disrespect. Cue an argument where he told me it wasn't a big deal if it was his, and that the test was requested for by them to ease their uncertainty. Fast forward to today, I was having lunch with my mother and told her about the incident, which left her pissed off and calling my partner a couple of names for insinuating I could have cheated. My mother ended up telling my grandparents, who in a rage told him they would no longer accept him in their house for disrespecting me in such a way when the child is practically his twin. Edit. Some of you are concerned about the hiding my pregnancy part, so to clarify. My partner and I live a couple hours away from our families since we live by his university and typically only see each other on holidays and specials events. On top of that, I have a very petite figure and had a rather small bump up until I gave birth, so I was hardly showing as is, which made hiding it a lot easier. Hiding it was a personal choice as I faced horrible anxiety due to constant bleeds throughout my pregnancy, which made me fear the worst. Story 3. My husband has locked me out of our home, thinking I cheated. If this wasn't happening to me, I would be laughing right now at the silliness of the whole thing. I can't believe the man I spent 5 years loving could so easily think I could cheat. We have been married for 2 weeks. On Monday, he got a call from his brother that their father had hit their mother while backing up the driveway and that she broke her hip. She went to surgery and got hip replacement, and she was in pain. My husband left immediately to his parents and stayed there until Wednesday morning. They live 4 hours drive away. When he came home around 8 a.m. on Wednesday, I was on my way out to work. He asked me why it smelled cologne for men in our apartment, and especially in our bedroom. I was confused and didn't know what he meant. I told him that I didn't know, and because I was running late, I left for work without further discussion. When I came back from work, he had already changed the locks. I tried to call and text, but his phone was off. I called Mom, and she let me stay with her. I was so worried, so I called my brother-in-law, and he told me that my husband was there, but that he didn't want to talk now. Later he, husband, texted me that it was over between us. I asked what's going on, and he told me that he knew I had a man with me while he was away. That I was disgusting for cheating on him in our bed when we're newly married. His mother was angry, and she demanded that I gave my wedding band back to them since it cost 18,000 euros. My mother-in-law also told me that they're going to start an annulment process and that they would send my clothes and the few items I brought with me since everything else was his. I texted my husband why he would even think something this horrible of me, and he said it was the cologne. My husband wears only one unisex perfume with very distinctive smell, and this wasn't his. I racked my brain to understand where the smell came from. I tried to explain that we had some warm nights and I had the windows open, and the smell must have some from the neighbors, to no avail. My mother-in-law, from her sickbed, made sure that everyone in our lives knew what I have done. My phone was never silent. My husband hates fish. Smell, taste, and everything, but especially the smell. That's why, whenever my husband isn't around, I usually make fish for me because I love seafood. So on Monday, I made pan-fried sea bream, one of my favorite dishes. Our apartment is small, and to try and hide the smell I used scented wipes. The samples you get when buying makeup. I have a table fan in our bedroom, and it's been on most of the time because of the heat. I thought it was smart to attach the wipes on the back of the fan. I got used to the smell and therefore didn't understand what my husband meant when he said it smelled cologne for men. I told him all this, and to make sure he believed me, I told him to look in the bathroom trash can for the packages and on the back of the fan for the wipes. On Friday morning, he was at my mom's house apologizing and begging me to go back home with him. Now I'm home and everything is supposed to be back to normal, but I have a very bad taste in my mouth. How could my husband, who I have been together with for 5 years, so easily think that I'm capable of doing such horrible thing to him and to myself? And his reaction, so strong and radical. Just throw me out like a dog and shut me out, only contacting me via text. And his family not wasting a moment to bash me to the rest of the family, ruining my reputation. I asked him why he did this, and all he could do is apologize and cry and apologize later, followed by, "I've always thought you're too good to be with someone like me," which is no consolation at all. How little does he think of me? I was supposed to visit his mom this weekend because I couldn't take a leave from work during the week, but she can forget that now. I'm going to tell my husband I need to move to my mom for a period of time to think of what has happened. Thereafter, I have no idea what to do. I know that the easiest thing to do is to forgive and forget, but I don't know. I'm hurt and disgusted and sad and hurt and angry and outraged and so pissed. Edit. The ring is 18,000 euros, not 180,000 euros.